Welcome to Toffee TV. It is the Footy Show here on Patreon. I'm joined by Andy the Piv, the man with the brains when it comes to footy, apparently. So I've been told.
Apparently, yeah, you probably like
Let's test the theory.
Okay.
Let's test it. A couple of new documentaries dropped this week. Footy documentaries. Have you watched either of them?
I haven't got round to, got too much on, but I do plan to watch both.
So the Leeds documentary dropped and the Dortmund one. So we got one episode of the Dortmund one. And you've got like 6 episodes of the Leeds one. The Leeds one is a little bit... Well, it's very polished. That's what I'd say.
Yeah, I'm sure it's not, all warts and all, well, or nothing sort of series that Man City was.
It's produced by the company that the 11 Sports, who the Leeds owner,
yeah, and Radziani owns, yeah.
So it does include like a lot of stuff, but it's also missing a couple of bits. It's missing the whole debacle with that badge they brought out, the one that looked like the Pez badge, which I really would have liked to have seen.
Yeah, that would be good, yeah.
It's the normal highs and lows of a championship season and trying to get this. But it's brilliant the way, because Russell Crowe narrates it, and he's like, trying to get this sleeping giant back to where it belongs. And like, they're trying to get home to the Premier League, like proper laying it on thick.
Well, that's what you need to do. Make it dramatic, don't you? It's not just for people here, is it? It's for people around the world to watch as well. And there's been a few documentaries really like overhead friendly games purposely to try and make it dramatic. So
it's face a tough game this week against rivals Reading, and you're like, okay. No, I mean, it's just they might not have got promoted, but they've got their pride back in the cities together once more. Watch out, world. Things like that. It's not exactly.
Isn't the most you telling me about the Dan James thing? That was quite.
The Dan James thing is brilliant because it gives a unique perspective on a transfer that clearly didn't go through because the kids ended up playing for Man United
and doing very well, in fact.
But it's that perspective, watching it, thinking. Like, I had no idea. I was not paying any attention to Leeds on transfer deadline day. And it just gives you that perspective of when you hear things and you go, they tried to get him or they tried to get that. Sometimes you go, okay, yeah, they put a bid in. Sometimes what you don't see is exactly what you see in this documentary. Because obviously all involved would want to keep it quiet. They don't really want to be embarrassed by it. Leeds probably wouldn't want it to...
Well, like Sunderland were very embarrassing, weren't they? They don't want that again, because that's probably cost people the jobs going forward. That the Sunderland debacle where they went to a Man United game to scout Ibrahimovic when they were in the Championship.
Yeah, this though, it shows you how difficult it can be, and Dan James is all there, and he's took his pictures in the kit, and everything's done. He's even started signing the forms and everything. And for one reason or another, it doesn't happen. But that's a really interesting. I think that's the kind of things that I always take from these kind of things. What have I not seen before? Or if there's somebody I've heard is a bit of a shark, a bit of a charlatan, whatever. These programs are always good. Although, as I do say, that because it is financed by and produced by the guy who owns it, they're never going to get that true light. But I did think that was a really good perspective on the club showing that transfer deadline day.
How much did the focus on Bielsa? Because obviously he's the most interesting character that Leeds.
I tell you what did happen in it. They showed the whole Spygate thing,
which was interesting,
right? And a few of the top people at Leeds are like, he should never have done that press conference. He should never have done it.
The PowerPoint
presentation. Remember everyone thought he was going to resign. And he went, call the press conference, and he did it, and he did a PowerPoint presentation, and basically proved in the PowerPoint thing that he knew everything he needed to know about these clubs, and he didn't need some lad spying over a fence. That was more like just maybe to get a set piece drill or two.
I think it's always been done though. It's just that they got caught out. It's been, the doors are open for anyone to come and have a little look at our training methods and all that. But I think he just got caught out. But yeah, that's what I'm just interested in his methods, his training methods. He's one of the most interesting managers of the last 20, 30 years. And I was hoping it would go drill into that. But being more of a fluff piece for Leeds as a club and represent what Leeds want to be and how it's going to be. I don't know.
For that piece, they basically, a couple of the owners were like, or the people in charge were basically like, this whole thing probably would have gone away a lot sooner. But by doing what he did, he sort of rubbed a few people's noses in it.
Yeah, it went viral, didn't it, as well?
But what I would say is, what Leeds weren't actually charged with anything provable.
No.
Like, there was nothing. Basically, what they got done for was bringing the game into disrepute, like ungentlemanly conduct, essentially. And the fine they got hit with was completely ridiculous, like £300,000. It was completely over the top. But they had to make an example of them. I think Leeds are just happy that it didn't go further as any kind of points deduction, because that, even though there's no precedent for it and even no rule for it. So really interesting from that point of view as well. Just that they were very honest. But him, Bielsa, he keeps himself to himself. Yeah, very quiet man. Always seems to be very, very thoughtful.
Lives and breathes football. Yeah, that's his whole life. But yeah, it would have been interesting to see. Did they focus much on Calvin Phillips, the centre midfielder?
Yeah, they did actually.
The Yorkshire Pilo, as they call him.
Yeah, they did a little bit on him. What I would say about Championship players is that they just got horrific hair.
It's a bad haircut time.
They've got terrible haircuts and terrible dress sense. It's like they have all this money and basically ammunition to just do what they want. And it's weird the way so many of them look the same. Yet you go to the Premier League and there's a little bit more class about them. Championship players are horrific. Horrific. Maybe that separates a Championship player from a Premier League player.
Maybe if whatever you turn it for and you sign a contract and that maybe what you get signed on. Who knows?
But that's a really good documentary. It's definitely worth watching. And Dortmund's good as well, because the Dortmund's, again, it's more just showing you how things are done at the club rather than going into anything too into too much detail. It's just showing you how they do things. So one of the things I thought was really interesting is that they decided that the way they looked at players, their own players and other players, they needed something different. So Matty Salmon now is a consultant of any club.
Yeah.
So basically, they hired, and he obviously used to be the technical director, general director of Bayern Munich, didn't he? Basically, they bring him in and say to him, well, what do you think? And he just gives a warts and all, because he's not employed by the club on a permanent basis. So he can just walk in and go, you need a new right back, or you need a new left back, or whatever.
You change your training processes.
Yeah, he'll go, I don't think whatever's happening with whatever needs to be addressed. And I thought it was a really interesting take from it, is that sometimes you just have to go outside the club and get an outside perspective.
Do you think it's weird the way in Germany, like, it's more of a community league than like the Premier League? Like, if he's working for multiple clubs, you'd be like a bit spy. Yeah, spy. But there, the transfer fees are kept low purposely because they don't want to try and put people in debt. You know, they sort of cooperate and sell and players to each other, which in the Premier League can be very difficult, as we've seen in the past.
Are you trying to say there's still an element of fair play?
There could be, but then again, Bayern just to still rule the roost and everyone knows the money. So
funny enough, I had this discussion after the match on Saturday about our game, and somehow one of the things that got brought up was Garner. My brother-in-law thought he went rather cheap, and I said I'll give the reasons and say, you know, the age and everything. I said, well, what if Marcel Brands is trying to create a culture of I don't rip you off, so you don't rip me off?
Potentially that could be it.
Do you know what I mean? And maybe that's the same thing they've got in Germany. It's that idea of when Bayern want a player, they do it by the book. They don't annoy anyone. They don't piss anyone off. They'll let young players go to some of these other clubs, and those clubs, when a player's ready to go and they'll let them go. They'll go to Barcelona. They'll go to Bayern Munich, and maybe it is that culture that is helping, or has helped the national team. It might be helping the league as such in terms of growing, but the fans certainly love the league. They love the prices. They love the fan culture is still a huge thing. So maybe there's something to be said about that.
It's a good product as well. I like watching German football. I think, don't get me wrong, it is in the Premier League, and obviously because I've got a Everton club in the Premier League, I haven't got the investments that I have in Germany, but it's still great to watch the counter-attack and the pace and the attack and football. So it is a good league to watch. It is actually a welcome break from watching Everton. Sometimes watch a Leipzig or a Dortmund. But yeah, as you say, it's I suppose it fosters that thing. I think the only team that's on the outside of that is RB Leipzig, obviously, because of the ownership situation. Because as we were talking about before off camera about the Union Berlin fans, spent 15 minutes in silent protesting.
Yeah, Union Berlin coming back, got fantastic fans, and yeah, they ended up getting beat,
4-0,
but they made their feelings known. It's something that we learned when we were in Germany. Me and Baz was, things like because of the fan culture, when the TV contract finishes, there'll be no more Monday Night Football because they hate Monday Night Football.
Like it, yeah.
So that's getting phased out because the fans simply refuse to turn up for games on a Monday night, so it's going to get phased out. They've still got the elements of fan power. They're not beholden to.
Well, it's not, the whole league's not beholden to Sky or a company like that, is it? And everything runs through the TV, isn't it, in the worldwide, rather than just what the fans want in England, which is why I haven't got so much.
Yeah, and ultimately in this country, it's turned everything upside down in terms of transfer fees. You're talking out there about being amicable and buying people for decent prices and maybe letting people go for decent prices. Where here we're all fighting over average players for more than 30 million, 40 million quid, and we've benefited from that, but we've also lost out on that. And you're thinking, well, what's the point? Bring the prices down, get a sensible transfer market, and everyone will still earn money and still sell. And there'll be, what's the point if you sell a player for 80 million, and then you're told the player you want to bring in who's dead average is going to be 50 million, then...
Well, that's what Brighton was saying to Leicester. When we know you're going to sell Harry Maguire for 80 million. So in turn, we were like half of that on one of our players.
It was badly average as well.
Yeah, Lewis Dunk, yeah.
So maybe I think there's definitely room for that.
Yeah.
Let's move on. France, it was the second weekend, wasn't it?
Yep.
In France. PSG played Sunday night against Rennes and got beat 2-1.
Yes.
And Rennes are becoming a bit of a bogey side for them, beat them in the cup finals.
Yeah, they did,
didn't they?
Julian Stéphane's a really good coach. I think Thierry Henry wants him to join his assistant at Monaco, but he decided to stay and then he became Rennes coach a couple of months later. They lost Sarr in the summer, but they've got a 16-year-old lad there who's going to be the next big star in world football, Eduardo Camavinga. He just got an assist in that game, lovely left-footed, floated ball in the box for Romain Castillo to score the second and the winner. And Mbaye Niang, who was once linked with Everton, scored the first goal. I think he had a trial, didn't he, years ago, when the boys, PSG, I just think they just know they can just turn up and win the league, and I think it's hurting them though when they play. Yeah. I think there's a malaise, and the manager probably is finding it probably hard to motivate these players, and I think that's why last year used a lot of young players to try and make get that sort of energy in the league games. But I don't know, they played three at the back, but I think PSG will still walk the league. It's just, I think it behooves them to try and make more, try and sort of become even more dominant, really, so they keep those high levels of performance when they play in the Champions League.
Ghana was on the bench for them. I can imagine he might come into the side now because
against certain teams he will do.
But I think I'd play him every week because I think it's that professionalism in games like that you need, that some players just don't seem to have. You've still got to cover your. I think in games like that, he's the kind of player that allows you to be a little bit more attacking because he can play the role of two midfielders. So I think he might get in that side, but
he should do. He will play certain games, especially in the Champions League, especially when they play English clubs, I think, or Spanish clubs, because they need that third midfielder, as well as Verratti and Herrera or whoever else plays in Paredes, whoever else plays in midfield. They need someone who can actually do the dog work for them, because a lot of them don't like to do it.
I was looking online actually, and a lot of the Paris Saint-Germain fans are very scathing of Tuchel. Saying he's the worst coach they've had under this regime.
Well, it's a bit weird to say that when Unai Emery couldn't beat a kids full of Monaco team, team full of kids at Monaco, isn't it? It's a bit, I'm a big fan of Thomas Tuchel. I think that the problem with he has to try and change the culture of the club, with Neymar being there and the Brazilian element still very much in force. It's hard for him. The club has backed him though, and that's why obviously they're trying to move Neymar on. And they brought in Gay, who's his choice, rather than Leonardo's choice as well. So hopefully it works out for him. Otherwise, I suppose that's probably going to be considered a failure, the big job, even though he won the league, and he might not get a job that big again.
No, but losing one of your first two games, it's...
Well, for PSG, because they could probably go win the league undefeated every season if they really wanted to, but I think there's just a malaise over the club, and I think that's what happens when you win so many so easily.
Talking of Neymar, it looks like he could be going to Barcelona on loan.
Yeah, it's similar. I think it'll be similar to the Mbappe deal. Paris Saint-Germain did. They loan him for a year for a ridiculous loan amount, and then it's probably 30 or 40 million it'll be, and then that'll come off the transfer fee next year, because Barcelona with this year, this financial year, obviously spent a lot of money in Griezmann, so they'll need to go into the next year now before they sign Neymar fully. He was always expected to go back to Barcelona. I think, especially with the sponsorship of, Nike sponsor Barcelona, Nike are his sponsor, and that's always been a link for him. I think he wants to go somewhere where he's not going to be the number one again. Don't think he's enjoyed that at Paris Saint-Germain. I think too much of the focus and the blame of the losses were blamed on him. And I think
Which is what he wanted, though, initially, wasn't it?
You find that a lot. It happens in the NBA. We have players go, I'm ready to step out on my own and be a star, and they find it's not. It's very hard. Because the glare's on you then, and any losses are blamed on you because you're the star. And I think Neymar's found that he's probably... I'm a big fan of Neymar, but I just don't think he's as good as people make out. I think he's a very good player. I just don't think he's someone who's going to lead you to a Champions League as your main man. I think you need a Messi, or I don't think he'd work well with Ronaldo because he's probably too greedy for Ronaldo, but he's a fantastic player. I think he's better going back and playing with Suarez and Messi and bringing back MSN.
And they certainly need him. Now, Barcelona played...
Bilbao,
yeah, they played first game of the season. It was Friday night, wasn't it?
Yeah. And
there was no Messi. Suarez went off injured quite early in the game. And suddenly they looked toothless. They looked absolutely toothless. I know they had Griezmann playing, but he's
there's not much. Dembele is still trying to find his feet at Barcelona. He's a good player. I don't know if Sparta suits him. No, this is the problem with Barcelona, and has been for a number of years now. I don't think they buy very well for the style. They obviously, even though during the Pep era, they bought a few players, Ibrahimovic being one of them, where it didn't really work out. Coutinho, we'll get on to in a minute, is another player who really doesn't fit that system, successful in Klopp's system. Where you go to Barcelona, it's a lot of possession-based. He's not really suited for that. And I think that's the problem. I think Barcelona really need to look at the recruitment. They've bought so many... Frankie de Jong was a great signing, but they've bought so many players who just don't suit them, and it's not helping Messi and his wanting to win trophies, really.
I suppose if they do bring him back, Neymar, and he plays on the left, that could see Griezmann maybe move into the centre.
I think so, because Suarez is getting a bit older, isn't he? Yeah. So I think it's time to sort of it's good. It's not like move him out the team completely, but play half the games. They play half the games each. It behooves them to try and save Suarez, so he's not burnt out later in the season. Same with Messi. The more we can play Dembele as well on the right, and sort of give Neymar a break. And say Messi a break in certain games. I think they need to be managed to play smarter. Yeah. Definitely.
Yeah, because Messi, I mean, he's that's the thing, isn't he? He is going to start missing games. Yeah. So if you can temper that by saying, well, we'll pick the games you miss rather than miss them through injury.
You should probably play 25 league games, really. I know it sounds, and then the rest Champions League. Try and limit his minutes, because the league, they should still win without Messi, realistically. And that's still, if they win all the Messi games, 75 points, that's enough, really, to get really, and don't lose them all as well. So they've got to work out a way of balancing it. It's, Real Madrid aren't really that great this year, but we'll see.
Yeah, and so I mean, talking about Real Madrid, they started off with a 3-1 win. But the man apparently who was behind, pulling the strings, Gareth Bale, who's gone from being on the verge of moving to a club in China to suddenly being back in the side and really pushing on in the first game.
I think he's embarrassed himself, Zidane, because he sort of pushed them to the brink, didn't he? And then I think he's looked at it and thought, I need continuity here from last season, because I can't just throw all these people in. And as it's turned out, he's had to play him, and he set up the first goal for Benzema. And I think it probably is smart to try and get the best out of Gareth Bale. I don't know why they just don't use him. He's still a good player. He's not going to be fit 38 games a season, all Champions League. But get the best. He's a good player to have. Get the best out, because Hazard doesn't seem to be he's up and running yet. So yeah, play Bale. But don't come out. I think Zidane's under pressure because he has tried this big overhaul, and last season wasn't good. And if it doesn't go well this season, it's also going to affect his legacy, because his legacy is built on the back of that Ancelotti team, which really went all the way through his team. And if he doesn't build his own team and win, people will be thinking, it's the same things that were levelled at Pep really before he went to other clubs.
Yeah, it's going to be... Yeah, I mean, he loves Benzema and he's got off to a good start under him, but I just wonder, whether Hazard and Bale playing the same side and whether, that'll click into place, because thing about when he came in is he said he wanted, when he came back, he said he wanted this player and that player, and, I think he wants Pogba, doesn't he, really? Yeah. But it doesn't look like they're going to get him, but really Hazard's only the only big sign. I know they've got Jugovic. I don't think he started in this game.
No, and they've got Mendy for left back. He didn't start either. I think Marcelo started. Yeah, they've spent a lot of money, and Danny Ceballos, who played really well for Arsenal on Saturday, he doesn't fancy him either, but he looked superb to me. So I think the problem that they've got, Real Madrid, is they might have players that are good, should be playing for them, that Zidane doesn't like, and he's trying to bring in Pogba and other people to replace them, and they've already got good players there. So
it's hard that, don't it? Because the Bale one's the one that's on the surface, that's the one player. But I'm sure there's about 3 or 4 others.
Marcelo,
that they're saying he's been told but you can go. But if he hasn't got the replacements for him, that leaves him in a really bad position, because he's going to have these players for the rest of the season and not, have to play them, and yet but not have that relationship with him that he wants.
Yeah, and it's whether they all fit together. Like Real Madrid don't suffer like a transition season. Last season could probably be considered a transition season. They didn't want that. So this is going to be probably another transition season. How many transition seasons with the fans and especially the board and the owners and what have you not? Will they accept that? I just don't think so. I think Zidane could be in trouble by February if they don't sort it out.
Interesting, considering.
He's a hero to them,
considering him come back and all the noise. And the mad, Barca are on a little bit of shaky ground as well. So could Atletico Madrid maybe?
They both had to change the sideline in the summer, but I think that the players they've signed are quite fit the system as long as he loosens the reins a little, so João Felix can be his best. But Morata started well. They won, was it 1 or 2-0 the other night? First goal, Felix set up for Morata. Oh no, Kieran Trippier with a great cross to set up Morata. So they've changed the style a bit, but I think the continuity of his that midfield, Koke and Saul, and then the defensive stability. I think that could be a season where they win. I still think Barcelona will win, if I'm honest.
Especially to get Neymar.
Yeah, of course.
One interesting little tidbit from the weekend was 8 minutes into the game between Betis and
Valladolid.
Valladolid was Joel got sent off, ex-Everton goalkeeper, got sent off for
tackling head first into poor Sandro, weren't he? Please don't do it. We need him to score goals and get a move, you know what I mean? Joel, don't hurt us. Yeah, I don't think it was a particularly a really bad challenge, but he seemed to hurt himself on the landing, didn't he? And he went off, but it was a bit of a comedy moment really for Everton, considering we're trying to sell Sandro, and he's...
Nice one, Joel.
Yeah, not for the first time.
We talked about Barcelona there. Coutinho has left. He left on loan to Bayern Munich.
Option to buy at the end of the season.
And he said he looks forward to a long career at Bayern Munich. He's been given the number 10 shirt, and it's an interesting path, isn't it? We've seen this before. These players who may not be good enough for the very top clubs in Spain or Italy, and they end up going to Bayern Munich, who are obviously still seen as a top club in Europe.
Yeah, Robin went from Chelsea to Madrid, then to Bayern, didn't he? And he had a great career there. I think with Bayern, he took James Rodriguez, didn't he, on loan for 2 seasons, and he's obviously gone back now to Real Madrid. I suspect with Coutinho, again, this is the problem. I think this is the problem with the club Bayern and his agents. They all thought going to Barcelona would be the making of him. Luis Suarez is there, his friends. He just didn't fit the system, and the pressure was the way they played just didn't suit him. We come from a Klopp system where basically by having those front 3 in front of him, they're creating a lot of space for him to play in the middle. And whereas Barca are usually facing 9 or 10 men behind the ball at all times, he found it hard to really click because he was playing on left wing. He didn't really like to sit deeper. So I think he was offered back to Liverpool, and Liverpool said no. That's the rumour, but I think they would have accepted him back. But I think it'll be a good sign of them. They're trying to sign Kai Havertz as well from Bayer Leverkusen, who's absolutely fantastic, and they'll probably play him then behind, or a 10, or they'll play 2 of them behind. What's his name? Robert Lewandowski. So.
I think they needed a big star, after losing. When anyone thinks of Ribery and Robin, losing those 2
key players,
and that name, but the brand power of those as well. Lewandowski's a weird one because he's like, football fans obviously know all about him, but you always felt like when he got like 28, 29, he should have got a move like Real Madrid.
Yeah, he's not really. He's a star in the way he plays, but he's not a star name.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying. He's not a brand name. He's not someone who his name chips off the tongue if you're not a football fan or you're a football fan of other teams. Thomas Muller's been
He's gone off the boil.
He's gone completely off the boil, hasn't he, in the last couple of years?
His type of player worked for so long, and now I don't think he's got really a position, really, and he's lost about a yard of pace. He's struggling, yeah. And then they've sold Hummels, who's been successful, and Boateng's on his way out, isn't he? So it's all change of buying as well. They're having to revamp on the Niko Kovac. We'll see. They still probably. I know they probably wanted a winger instead of Coutinho. They rather because they wanted to sign. What was his name? In the summer, it was Leroy Sané wanted to sign him, and obviously then he got injured, and Manchester City wanted 130 million. I think they still probably want a winger, but Coutinho's a good player.
Well, the transfer window's still open, and there's still... I've read this week that, I mean, obviously, Pochettino moaned about it, and they said, I read something yesterday saying it would take 11 Premier League teams to change the rule in I think the meeting's on 12th of September. But I really don't see any reason to go back to it, because all I can see at the moment is the only players that seem to be getting linked around Europe is players that are not wanted by Premier League clubs, like Alexis Sanchez going to Roma and things like that. Players that are on the outside of our teams, who might be big money earners, looking to go and play games of football. But I don't really see any names going who are available in Europe that any Premier League team would be that interested in?
No, probably not. And there's not like anyone who's come available late, even after the window's over, as you say. There's not like, suddenly somebody wants to leave. And I think the problem with the top six probably wanted to be on later, because that means that if someone gets injured for a season long, they've got the money to go. And obviously, your Crystal Palaces, your Burnleys, they don't want to lose their players after the season starts, because they've already got a settled side. And so I think you're never going to see it where it's turned around, probably because I don't see the number of teams wanting to change it, because there is more teams who don't want to lose players than there are who wants to be able to buy players later.
I just find it very strange. I've said this before. We can be settled, and I think there's more reason for the countries in Italy to come with us. I think what we need to do is we need to start our league season later.
Yes,
that's what we need to do. Yeah. Forget about starting the first week in August. It should be the second week in August at the very earliest, and then there isn't as big a gap. That to me is mad. I totally agree with Jurgen Klopp on what he said about that. I think it is mad when you've got players coming back from the African nations and they're straight back into or they're supposed to be straight back into the Premier League, which is what we've got a couple of players now. So for me, that's what needs to happen. But most of the team players bandying around they're not of interest. I know Spurs are still worried that Eriksen might leave. Don't sell him.
You can just not sell him. I know the player's got power, but you just don't sell him.
Well, he's in the last year of his contract, so...
But then you can sell him I know you take the loss, but you should have sold him before. You can't moan about losing him. You should have signed him to a contract or sold him beforehand. It's just prudent planning, and I don't think Eriksen will leave, because I don't think anyone wants him particularly much. He's a great player, by the way, but I just don't think he fits any of the sides that are looking. Yeah, I think he thought that Real Madrid were going to come in for him. That's why he didn't sign a contract. And then obviously Zidane said, no, I want Pogba, and they can't get Pogba, and that's the end of it. And
I know some United fans are still sweating on Pogba, but that's not going to happen either.
No, it'll be next summer. I think Real will try and move him on, because it depends how they get on this season. But if he's out of the Champions League again, I think Real will move him on.
Yeah, we'll have to wait and see on that one. Italy starts this weekend, I think.
Where are we on? So yes, it does. Yeah,
starts this weekend. Juventus, obviously, massive favourites.
They should be, really. I know people think Inter have got a chance. I just can't see it. Juventus are bred for winning, aren't they?
Lukaku scored 4
today
in a game against the Serie A club. Serie A, which didn't really... I think... Was it a friendly or an early cup game?
I'm not sure. It was a friendly.
Can't remember.
I don't think they played in the cup yet.
It was something weird. There's been one move in Italy which is really interesting. Balotelli's gone to Brescia, which is his hometown club.
Yeah, it's nice for him, isn't it?
He said he's made his mum really happy. He wants to get back in the Italy squad for 2020 Euros. And I'd love to see Balotelli just find peace.
Yeah, and I think he did for his first season. I think his first season in Nice went really well. And then the second season when Marseille comes sniffing around, it all starts going a bit west. And he had an okay last season at Marseille, but I think he just needs... I think in Brescia, as long as it goes well, they've got a wonderful defensive midfielder called Sandro Tonali, who's the second coming, looks a bit like him, plays exactly like him, the second coming of Pirlo. And I think that'll be exciting for Leeds fans, obviously. Massimo Cellino, the former crazy owner, does own Brescia as well. So there's some English interest there. But yeah, I hope Balotelli does well. I think the problem with this with Balotelli, he's always had this super talent, and obviously he's never had the application maybe, or he's never been comfortable for whatever reason, to be able to do it. But I hope he does it at Brescia.
I think what'll be interesting about this move, though, this will be the first Italian club that he's played for where there isn't that bubble. He'll be the big man there. He's played for Inter, he's played for AC, Milan, and going somewhere like Brescia could be just that grounding he needs, where he will be the number one player, but at the same time, it's his hometown. He might have that. He's 29 now. He might have that respect, and because of his home, like as you said, Nice, he was doing well.
He was, yeah.
But it was that pull of playing for a bigger club that
Saints and West, yeah.
But if he goes to Brescia, it might just be like, well, this is my hometown. I'm finally doing right by my mum, by my family, and he might find that pride to play for them, and that might drag him up, because I go back to the 2012 Euros and how good he was.
Fantastic.
He was so, when he scored and he took the shirt off and he's giving it all out. You thought that's a complete player. That one season really City. When he took the shirt off, why always me? That season for City, he was absolutely brilliant as well. He found the right headspace, and I think that's what it's always been. Liverpool was one of the worst moves he could have ever made in his life.
Yeah, of course.
Literally, it was just a terrible move for him.
At all, yeah.
But I'd love to see that kid just find a bit of peace.
Well, it worked for Baggio. Baggio went to like 4 or 5 different big clubs around Italy, and then he found a home in Brescia later in his career. Him and Pirlo were fantastic for 2 seasons together. So I hope it works the same for Balotelli.
Signori finished his career at Brescia?
I think it was Bologna.
Oh, was it? Yeah.
Yeah,
okay.
He was great though as well.
Yeah.
He was fantastic.
Mate. One-step penalties. I love that era. I love that era of Italian football.
He was the best.
I love that era. There was an era between like 87 and 91 that I remember. Like we all used to the old dodgy VHSs when we were kids. I remember dodgy VHSs being passed around of Italy games, and watching like Maradona and Van Basten playing from and the Dutch connection, all the Dutch production, and Inter Milan with the German players, and because it was not on anywhere. You're a bit too young for this, but especially Van Basten because of '88.
He was famous, yeah.
Because he was 88, and that's where he emerged, and the goal is simply one of the greatest goals I've ever witnessed. And Ruud Gullit.
They were great as well, that Milan side under Rigo Sacchi. They changed the game.
One of the most underrated teams ever.
They were fantastic together. But
in fact, I think Pep calls them the greatest team ever.
Yeah, he loves Sacchi. Sacchi's still on Italian TV telling everyone what to do.
But because of that, and because of Maradona, that whole era sort of, and that's what sort of inspired Channel 4 to go and get the rights, because that helped the next bit where all players wanted to go to Italy after 1990.
Well, it was the biggest league until about 99, 2000.
Well, it imploded because the simple fact was too many dodgy owners siphoning off the money, and because of 1990 because before the 1990 World Cup, all the grounds were crap.
Yeah,
and the Italian government and the Italian cities poured money into the grounds to make them look like they did, like the San Siro. That they suddenly then owned all the grounds. So they were all municipal grounds. So no one was making any money, just putting all this money. And then when the Premier League come and just went, have you seen how much money we've got?
Yeah.
Think of someone like Ravanelli. Ravanelli was a centre forward playing for the champions of Europe, and Middlesbrough came calling, and he went, how much?
I'll have some of that, yeah.
How much? I'll have some of that. And that's what it was like. Zola, one of the biggest talents in the world, Chelsea come calling. It's like...
Hullet went in 94 to Chelsea. There's loads of players that came from Italy. Then I think, and then they suffered this, the Italian football. Hopefully it gets back to where it was. There's some good players there now, but it's very difficult now. The football's changed. The Juventus is so far ahead of a lot of them. It's become very difficult.
It's I don't know. What I would say about Juventus, I don't want to say anything about Juventus, because what I would say about them is maybe when they went down, they had to take stock and had to understand how they were going to get back. And maybe by doing that and getting their own stadium. I mean, that was one of the first things.
It was a white elephant, the one.
Well, that's what I'm saying. It was a ground, that old 90,000 that no one wanted to go to. There was a running track. It was miles away from the city and all that. And it was like, no, let's make a 40,000, which is ours. We get naming rights. We'll keep it small so we can get the tickets higher. We can have concerts and all the rest of it. And that's how we'll make our money. And they put a blueprint down that other people are starting to follow. We know the Milan teams are going to have a new stadium soon. Which is sort of sad because San Siro aesthetically looks amazing. But I don't think it's a good football ground.
No, it's a shame because the Stadio Olimpico's Lazio are going to still probably there, but Rome are going to move outside. So there's going to be a lot of change in this thing. All those old famous grounds. Obviously, Napoli still got the Sao Paulo, which is like decrepit, but
the Wild West.
Yeah, but that's I think it has to change. Has to modernize. I think you can't have stadiums where half it's full and the biggest team in the league is playing against half full. I think they got 15,000 at times in that stadium. You know, the big stadium.
Oh, they hated it. They hated it.
Yeah,
they hated it. And obviously and the other thing about it is though, and this is another problem. This was another problem, or is another problem with Italy, is they want football tourism. They want football tourism. How could any? You can't say to me, like you go right. I've gone to Paris with my missus loads of times, and we've been to see Paris Saint-Germain, and I was gutted actually because the last time we were in Paris, and France were playing Colombia on the Friday night, and she wouldn't go, and Colombia won 3-2. Gutted about that, but anyway, it's all right. Don't worry about it. But if I went to Rome, I wouldn't go. Fancy going to watch Rome, or fancy going to watch? I wouldn't go and watch Lazio anyway.
They're not.
Oh no, none of that. Well, the SS is.
Well, as long as you could stay off the Corver Sud,
but that's the point. But how would you know? How would you know where you were going? Oh, I went to Paris Saint-Germain. I had an Everton jumper on, and people were giving me stares. And about 4 months later, someone got shot in the ground. In the ground.
France is another one. You can't really go to Marseille. That's a soft ground to go to.
Well, Paris Saint-Germain's been since then. If you look at the ground, it's completely been like gentrified. Yeah, completely.
Well, because the owners, isn't it?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm saying. It's like that's be one of the reasons where those clubs would be like, well, Roma would be like, well, this is Rome. This is the eternal city. We don't want, this idea that fans, football tourist fans, can't come and enjoy it. We want somewhere. Milan are probably the same. Both of them thinking, we've got a boss ground, but it's on a car park in the middle of nowhere. We need somewhere where people can go to make the money as well. So they're all starting to learn. I mean, probably 15 years too late, but they're all starting to understand now the model.
I think until about 8 years ago, Lazio didn't have their own merchandise. The fan groups all owned the ultras. All were selling the gear outside the grounds.
When I went to Rome,
I love Rome.
It was all Rome. Yeah, it was like being here, to be honest. It was.
It is.
You wouldn't know. You wouldn't know the other team existed.
I'd never seen one of Lazio shirt. No one was there.
You wouldn't know. Every shop. I mean, this was the height of the Totti era. But every shop you went to, sports shop or whatever, had something Totti in the window. So you had no idea that Lazio existed. Which is a bit like the way Liverpool's becoming. It's getting. It is though. It's getting seriously worse all the time. It's like we are being just.
Well, it's a tourist club, but they want to bring tourists in as a real football club.
No, I know, but we're literally being whitewashed out of the city, and our own club don't even help that at all. They don't. They put nice stuff up around where we play now, but they're not like.
So billboards saying come to Everton.
Yeah, there should be billboards all over the city centre saying. Stuff. I don't know what stuff.
Stuff Everton.
Stuff Everton. They should just when they launched the new kit, we should have painted a bleeding wall.
Yeah, we should have.
We should have gone down to the Baltic where they've got their bloody...
Well, Tom Davis' house and put it on the wall.
Put one on the wall and got a picture of one of our players in the new kit. That should have been the advert for the new kit. Nice bright picture down by the Baltic. That's what we should have done. Take stock. But yeah, it was a great era of Italian football. Like really, really good. So we weren't even talking about this.
Well, sadly about Juventus, poor Sarri's got pneumonia.
Sarri's got pneumonia. I mean, I wonder why, because he looks like he's in great health.
Genius of a manager, though. I know people don't say, yeah, he got a bad rap from the xenophobic press here, but he's a fantastic, he's a genius manager. And I think it's going to be a weird year for him at Juventus, but he's probably already got enough stress as well, but their team and him, I don't know if they're going to mix, because Ronaldo's a harsh mistress, isn't he, really? Like, the ball's not fed to him constantly, is he going to be happy?
Did you see that advert?
Which
the Ronaldo advert?
No.
You haven't seen them? Oh my, I'm going to have to show you it. It's incredible. I mean, and I'm saying...
Have they changed the name to Cristiano Ronaldo FC?
Wait till you see it. Honestly, God, it's amazing. Check it out. Honestly, if you haven't seen this advert for this Ching Ching or something, it's incredible. That'll be interesting. That Juventus team will be interesting. Be really interesting.
It's all on them to win the Champions League as well. Yeah.
Lukaku into Milan, that'll be interesting as well to see how he fits in there. Is he got a Cardi's number 9 shirt? I think he has, hasn't he?
I think he has, yeah.
I'll be interested.
And they've got Lautaro Martinez, still the Argentinian lad, so I hope he plays as well. He's a fantastic young striker, so I think Cardi's saying no to Roma, he said no to Napoli, and I think he's waiting for Juventus and they're never going to call him, so I don't know what's going on there. His wife's ruined his career in a lot of ways, I think. And Maxi Lopez as well. Whoa.
Don't. And Dingo's gone to Inter Milan as well, hasn't he? Which will be really good for them from Atletico Madrid.
That's what it is. Oh, yeah. Diego Godin, yeah.
Good, but I mean, fantastic centre back.
Yeah, he is. He's a leader, and I think for Antonio Conte, who's going to play a back three, I think you need someone who's going to be a leader for them. We've got Milan Skriniar, who's a very good centre back. Who's the other one? We've got Stefan De Vrij as well.
But they've let Dingo go, haven't they? To the Croatian centre midfielder.
Oh, Brozovic.
No, the other one. Beginning with P.
Oh, Perisic went.
Perisic has gone, hasn't he?
I think.
Well, is he going to Bayern as well?
Yeah, he's gone to Bayern.
Bayern, yeah.
The problem with him is that either he was going to play at left wing back, and I don't think he's got the legs for left wing. Or he'd have to play left wing, and I don't think he suits Sarri left wingers. So I think it was time. I've never been that big of a fan of him because he's very old, sort of, not old.
Yeah, he's got no pace.
He's a very old type of winger. Gets to the sort of the final third and looks to whip great balls, and he shoots it very hard. Man United tried to sign him for 60 million.
He's a back post tapping merchant as well. 60
million they were looking to sign him for Man United. Never worked that. But I know some people like him. I've just never been a fan. I'm going to be honest.
The early part of the Champions League has started.
So that's qualifiers now, isn't it?
The only really one of note is Ajax drew.
Yeah, Nazir Mazraoui got sent off for a stupid tackle as well. Yeah, they played away in Apollon Limassol.
Isn't it weird that they got to the semi-final and now they've drawn in the first leg of...
Yeah, it's disgusting, but that's the coefficients, and I think there should be something like they were the best team in the tournament last year, and I think they were better than Liverpool to watch as well. It would have been a fair.
Their pens were better.
Yeah, they put them in the right areas, yeah. But it was sad that they didn't make the final, because I think they deserved it over Tottenham over the two legs, but it's the way the system works.
Celtic went out last week, which was...
Yeah, Cluj, who they got beat 1-0 by Slavia Prague last night, and the other game was... Club Brugge won 1-0 against LSK Linz, we were from an Austrian team. Club Brugge you want to watch, got some good players. David Okereke, good striker, probably playing the Premier League next season.
No one's watching Bruges. Sorry, but unless Kevin Morales goes there, nobody's watching.
No one's watching if he goes there.
No, they are. They're just watching to make sure he stays
there.
Just to make sure he's gone.
I don't know.
Just to see what happens.
I hope. I hope he goes. I think we've got we've 2 weeks left in the window for them to go. I think Nias is still telling us he wants to go to Turkey. We're saying yes, we want you to go to Turkey, and he's still not gone.
Just book Nias on an easy jet.
Send him there. He can go tour around the clubs. He wants.
Sturridge has gone to Turkey, hasn't he?
Has he?
He was on my mate's flight yesterday. He's gone to.
Oh, nice.
He's gone to Fenerbahce.
I wouldn't go to play. I don't know. It's a bit of a. Will he pay him? Fenerbahce have got problems, and he probably wants $100,000 a week easy.
I don't know. Got to pay off that debt first. I need the gambling one.
Yeah, true. Allegedly.
Well, a fine. That's what I meant. The fine.
Yes, you had the fine.
Fine, I meant. That's what I meant. He's done his band now, so he can go and play for someone. There you go. This has been the Footy Show. It's all starting to get back in motion.
Like 7 seasons.
It's all good, and we'll have more for you next week. I'm sure Andy will be back next week. I'm sure I can tag him in, because if he doesn't, I'll be doing it on my own.
And you'll be talking about the Leeds documentary.
Okay. Seen the Leeds? Anyone seen the Leeds documentary? Yeah, make sure you check out that Ronaldo advert. Thanks for watching. See you later.